Yes, good afternoon, students. So, in this lecture, we will study basics devices which may be used in HVDC transmission. Then, after that, we will study SCR and its characteristics. Right. So, because we know that whenever we are just talking about HVDC transmission, there are two converter stations. There are two converter stations. One is at the generating end, and second is at the that distribution end or transmission end. Fine. Once your electricity will be generated, that will be generally into the form of AC. Then after that, before transmission, it will be converted into DC, right? Before transmission, it will be converted into DC, right? So there we are using rectifier, and that rectifier is generally known as converter station 1. That rectifier is generally known as converter station 1. At converter station 1, AC generated at the generating end or at the generating station will be converted into DC, right? Then after that, we will just convert DC into AC, DC into AC with the help of inverter at converter station 2. At converter station 2, right? So converter station 2 will be act as equivalent to that inverter, and this converter station 2 is placed near to the load center. Generally converter station 1 is placed near to the generating station, and converter station 2 is placed near to the load end, right? Now converter station act will be converter station 1, that will be act as equivalent to rectifier, and converter station 2, that will be act as equivalent to inverter, right? Converter station is the general name for both of the devices, whether that will be rectifier or that will be inverter. Fine. Now if you are aware with some of the power electronics devices, generally these devices, whether that will be rectifier or that will be inverter, whether that will be rectifier or that will be inverter, that may be used, that may be manufactured with the help of some semiconductor devices, right? With the help of some semiconductor devices, and that semiconductor devices may be diode or SCR, right? Diode or SCR, right? So whether diode or SCR, both of that are the semiconductor devices, and that may be manufactured with the help of some p-type by the combination of some p-type material as well as with the help of some n-type material, right? After going through this particular lecture, you are able to understand what are the various devices used in the HVDC transmission line. Then, because we will generally use SCR in converter station 1 and converter station 2. So we will study what is SCR, what is its construction, and then after that characteristics of the SCR and general terms related with the SCR, right? Then so before starting with the various devices used in the HVDC transmission, I just want to discuss general layout of the HVDC transmission. Now see this diagram. In this diagram, this is your generating station, right? This may be any of the thermal, any of the plant, right? Power plant. This plant may be hydro, thermal, nuclear, right? Or any of the non-conventional type plant. Right. So this is the generating station where some electricity will be generated. Fine. Then after that there is a transformer. This is a transformer. Here this generating electricity will be generally step up. Then after that this is your converter station 1. Converter station 1 will be act as equivalent to the rectifier. Right. Here on the transformer side you are supplying AC to the converter station 1 and output of the converter station 1 is DC, right? Then after that this DC will be transmitted till the load center. This DC will be transmitted till the load center, and at the load center we are just substituting that converter station 2. Converter station 2 will be act as equivalent to the inverter, right? On input side of the converter station 2 we are supplying DC, and output of the converter station 2, that will be AC, and this AC after some step down this may be supplied across the load center. So this is the general layout of the HVDC transmission. So if you see in this particular case, in this particular layout, we are having two converter station 1 and converter station 2, right? Converter station 1 will be act as equivalent to the rectifier, and converter station 2, that will be act as equivalent to inverter. Rectifier convert AC into DC, rectifier convert AC into DC, and converter convert DC, that inverter convert DC into AC, right? Whether it will be rectifier or it will be inverter, in both of the cases we are using some semiconductor devices. Some semiconductor devices to manufacture these, to fabricate these converter station, right? Whether we want to make rectifier or we want to make some inverter, we will have to fabricate these devices with the help of some semiconductor devices, right? And generally we are using either diode, means PN junction, or we are using thyristor, that is SCR, right? These two devices are generally used in case of converter station 1 and converter station 2. We will be able to fabricate converter station 1 and converter station 2 with the help of either diode or thyristor, depending upon the requirement. So in this lecture we will study both of that, starting from the very basics of the semiconductor devices. Yes, one thing more. These are the basic components of the HVDC transmission line. Sometimes this may be asked that what are the basic components of the HVDC transmission line? Explain it with the help of journal layout. So these are the basic components of any HVDC transmission line. One is generating station, then transformer, then converter station 1, then converter station 2, then load center. Right? On the load center, after converter station 2, you may use one transformer again. So in that case, this first will be known as transformer 1, and here that will be transformer 2. Transformer 1 will be generally step up transformer, and transformer 2 that will be step down transformer. Because transmission is always at the high voltage and distribution is always at the low voltage. So journal components of the HVDC transmissions are generating station, transformer 1, converter station 1, converter station 2, transformer 2, and load center. Yes, please. Now this depending upon the, is it audible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Now depending upon the band theory, material may be classified into three categories. One is conductor, semiconductor, and insulator. Right? Conductor, semiconductor, and insulators. Now, first of all, material may consist of molecules, and then molecules may consist of atoms, right? First of all, material may be consist of molecule, right? Then molecule may consist of atoms, and atoms is having two parts. Atom is having two parts. One is nucleus, right? And second is extra nucleus. Nucleus and extra nucleus, right? Now, as per the band theory, there are two bands. One is valence band and second is conduction band. One is valence band and second is conduction band. Now see this, I am taking this example of the silicon. Silicon is having the atomic number as 14. Silicon is having the atomic number as 14. So its atomic configuration will be 284. Right. So this is the structure. Central part, this is known as nucleus. This will be consist of proton and neutron. This is the basic cause for the mass of the atom. Right. Then after that, around this nucleus, electrons will revolve in fixed orbit. Around this nucleus, electrons will revolve in fixed orbit. Right. So first orbit or first shell, that will be having how many number of electrons? 2. So 1 and 2. Second orbit is having 8 number of the electrons. Then after that, this last orbit is having the 4 electrons. Always these will be just rotating in a fixed path, and this fixed path is known as orbit. Fixed path is known as orbit. This outermost orbit or outermost shell is known as valence shell or valence band. Right? Outermost orbit or outermost shell is known as valence shell or valence band. When we will supply some energy across this atom, when we will supply some energy across this atom, this energy may be into the form of heat energy, this energy may be into the form of some mechanical energy, or this energy may be into the form of electrical energy also. Right? So, whenever we will supply some energy across this atom, what will happen? From this last orbit, whatsoever that number of electrons are there, that will be just relieved from this its parent atom, right? And they will free to move anywhere. They will free to move anywhere. So whenever that by supplying some amount of the specific energy, that last orbit electrons will free to move. After that, we are saying that electrons will be moved from valence shell or valence band to the conduction band. Right? Now, what will happen in some of the atoms? In some of the atoms, we need very small amount of the energy. We need very small amount of the energy to relieve that last orbit electrons. In some of the atoms, we need very small amount of energy to relieve that last orbit electrons. That type of the atoms or that type of the material are known as conductor. In that particular case, generally in the last orbit there are 1 or 2 electrons present. If you see the atomic configurations of that type of the material, which is conducting in nature, that is generally having one or two electrons in the last orbit, right? Then after that, some material are like that which will be having its last orbit as fulfilled as per its capacity, which will be fulfilled or fully packed as per its capacity, right? So that are the atoms which will not relieve its last orbit electrons even after supplying very high amount of energy. Even after supplying very high amount of energy, that electrons will not be getting free from its parents atom, right? So that type of the material which will not leave its last orbit electrons, even supplying very huge amount of energy, that type of the material are known as insulator, right? That type of the materials are known as insulators. Then after that, third category is which is having the energy requirements in between. So that type of the material are known as semiconductor material, right? So this is the general configuration as per the that band theory. Now as per band theory, this is your valence band and this is your conduction band. This gap in between it, this is known as energy gap. If this gap is too small, or sometime this valence band and conduction band will be overlapping each other, that means by supplying very small amount of the energy, electrons will be able to shift from valence band to conduction band, then that type of the material is known as conducting material, or it is known as conductors, right? Then second category is if this forbidden energy gap, this is your forbidden energy gap. This forbidden energy gap between the valence band and conduction band is too large. Valence band and conduction band is too large. That means in that particular case, even supplying very huge amount of the electrical energy or any form of the energy, electrons will not be able to jump from the valence band to the conduction band. Then that type of the materials are known as insulator, right? And if this gap is in between, then this will be known as, this type of the material is known as insulator. For semiconductors, these type of the materials are known as semiconductors. Now whenever we are just saying that semiconductors for the commercial use, whenever we are saying that semiconductors for the commercial use, we are just using two material. One is silicon and second is germanium. Silicon and germanium are the two semiconductor materials which are generally used in industry for the manufacturing of the semiconductor devices.